it's somewhat a similar issue, but what are your thoughts about how to address speeding issue, particularly in center of Morris Township?
We've done yeoman's work. Our police department has done yeoman's work in terms of utilizing the funds that we've appropriated from the committee in terms of different signage, making sure that we have ghost cars, patrols, etc. We have worked very, very hard with them financially to make sure that our police department has the strips that go down to monitor all of the areas in Morris Township. And so our police department knows exactly where we have issues with speeding. And we are constantly patrolling, constantly. Usually the people that are speeding, interestingly enough, they get pulled over, are the people that actually live in that neighborhood. I love people on Mill Road. I live on Mill Road. I know the people who speed. The people who live in the neighborhood. It's fact of life. And the fact is, the matter is that we live in the state of New Jersey, one of the most densely populated states in the nation. And we have a lot of traffic. And it's not just our people. It's people from all over these other towns that are around us. Yeah.
Thank you. Mr. Grayzel.
Thank you. Yes, as we stated before, there's a lot of speeding around town because of the cut-through traffic. One solution that I talked about when I was on the township committee and still continue to talk about are speed bumps in certain areas around town. We can't be putting them everywhere, but there are certain areas where they are most definitely warranted. Our neighboring towns of Morris Plains and Morristown have them. There's no reason why we shouldn't. They seem to work in those towns, and they will work in Morris Township. I think that combined with increased patrolling in certain areas to reinforce the speed limits in those areas would be very helpful in certain neighborhoods. And the township has also done a very good job in getting those electronic speed monitoring devices that you stick up on the poles and you can see your speed. They are acquiring more, and we need to stick those all around town and rotate them to make people more aware of how fast they actually are going on their streets. Those are very helpful, and I'd like to see more of those as well.
Mr. Calvanelli.
Rebuttal?
No. Speeding.
Speeding in particular. The focus on speeding, because it is a cut through and people are clogging those roads, is probably, in my judgment, second to the texting. And I really want to emphasize that because I've seen too many accidents recently where it's been texting while driving, and you combine that with extra congestion, and you combine that with speeding, and you have a disaster. And it's happening all around us. I think the police department does a yeoman's job in monitoring on our road. I see it there all the time. They're monitoring the speeds along James Street. I applaud that. That's not to say that we can't increase the fines for speeding. That's not to say we can't do other things to deter speeding. But I'll tell you, I would say focus on the distracted driving. I think there's an opportunity for us to take a leadership role throughout New Jersey in this space, because this is our issue, like drunk driving was back in the 70s and early 80s. This is the issue of our generation.
Thank you. Mr. Gyorfy.
Like I said before, I think each neighborhood in Morris Township is different, and unfortunately we don't have a center of town to address speeding. That would be Morristown. But in the township, like I said, every neighborhood is different. In Highland Avenue, it may not be, they may want, residents there may want speed bumps, but the biggest issue is their kids are forced to play on the streets because they have a playground that doesn't have any equipment for them to play on. Sometimes the safety isn't necessarily just because of the streets. Maybe it's because of the infrastructure around the area that causes so many people to be walking on the streets, whether that's because they don't have a proper sidewalk there, or maybe it's because, like we said, there's cut-throughs. And in certain areas of town, speed bumps do make sense, or traffic calming areas like Morristown is utilized on McCullough Avenue. You can't just rely on the same old tactics to try to prevent these problems from happening in the future. It requires more thoughtful leadership on it, and I think actually going to the towns from the Township Committee, having meetings out there and talking to the residents face to face will lead us to better solutions than in the past.
Yes, A 30-second rebuttal on that?
Yeah, Mr. Grayzel said that they quote unquote seem to work in other neighboring towns. I actually have spoken with people that live in those neighborhoods. The sound of people driving over those speed bumps is horrendous, especially in the summertime. The cost to put those in, just from the initial standpoint, but also when plows go over them and destroy them, is unreal. So we've had a long-standing policy way before myself being there that we've not put in speed bumps in Morris Township.
Mr. Gyorfy, did you want a rebuttal
Yeah,
for 30 seconds?
quite frankly, if folks are asking for a speed bump on their street because they're concerned of the safety of their children, I think we should be giving them some consideration. And there are many residents who do want that. They are willing to live with the sound or the noise of the plows going over them during the winter because they're concerned for the safety of their children playing on the streets. And that's the most important to some people, and the most important thing to some people, I think we should respect that and actually listen to them and see if we can find a solution.
Any